What's up YouTube, Duel here from Zephyr, and here's another live duel from locals. On the left we have my friend playing Dark Worlds, and on the right I have myself playing Invoked. Now we start off by revealing Danger Nessie, and unfortunately this is the negative side of the RNG factor of Dark Worlds. The idea was that we wanted to try and hit the Ceruli or a Fiend so that our gate of the Dark World can be activated. Unfortunately that wasn't the case. Nessie resolved, didn't draw into anything useful, ended up hitting again. Tries to activate gate, and I'm like, well, this is going to try and unlock the hand, so we are going to ash that. We start off with Magical Meltdown. Now my hand, if I remember rightly, was like one Alistair, and then it was 3 Magical Meltdowns and a Terraforming, believe it or not, which is crazy. So we go normal summon Alistair, and then this is the first time that I'm physically playing the deck in a dueling environment, and I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, well, they've allowed my Alistair to resolve, so they're worried about any type of extension that I might have. Because if they weren't, they would have used SP Little Knight to get rid of it, and then this kind of shows the informalities. They choose to use it on Almirage after the invocation's been activated. I get to go into the Seraph instead, which is still quite effective, because by getting rid of that Almirage, I now don't have that other monster I need on the field in order to kind of link it off, and you kind of want to get the Seraph to the graveyard. And I believe at this point as well, there's not a level 6 or lower. I think like the best thing I can do, there's Ken. So I can bring back the Ken, and then I can make my own SP Little Knight. And then my SP Little Knight, if I want to, can banish a card on the field. So, not ideal. I was trying to figure out, I was like, what else could I possibly go into? Trying to figure out where, because I should be able to go bring back the Invocation. And unfortunately, the Seraph is a light. As is the Ken, so I couldn't go into the Alistair Link 2 either. So I was like, oh, that's so annoying. So I get rid of the Gate of the Dark World. I'm like, well, at least I can kind of try, if my opponent's hand hasn't been that great, at least I can try and keep them off their resources. But they top deck a Genta like a Dark World god. And we go Genta for gates, and now the hopes is that they don't draw into anything, and they've got a Rainbow as well. I'm like, damn, that's kind of like a really nice combo, because you're going to get Genta to the field, you're going to get Rainbow searching, you're going to be able to bring Rainbow back to the hand, return Genta back to the hand. The only benefit I now have is it's like, well, if they don't play free Gate of the Dark World, I'm in a good position, which, fortunately for me, they don't. They're only on 2, so returning Genta to the hand, bringing down Rainbow. Rainbow is kind of strong right now. It's at 3,300 base because of the Gate of the Dark World. So, yeah, they're still, field presence-wise, they're good. And it looks like we're going to normal summon the Genta. I would personally, I'll definitely get rid of the SP Little Knight, because we don't want to be activating any effects, so that my SP Little Knight could interact. I feel that we probably want to be going into the Muckraker here, because at least if you go into the Muckraker, you can use the effect to, well, what would you'd go Muckraker, you'd have to use the effect to try and bring back, you can't bring back the Genta, but you'd ultimately try and bring back a card, discarding the Lucian. Lucian would summon. You wouldn't really like present more to the field, but at least the Muckraker would give you a line of protection. Anyway, normal summon, activate a Magical Meltdown. Magical Meltdown just searched me out another Alistair. Not so useful for me here, but we're going to activate the Invocation. We're going to banish Alistair and the Ken from my opponent's graveyard. So this is going to give me direct access to the Macabre. This just gives me a line of protection against my opponent's SP Little Knight. Because I'm like, well, if they want to use the SP Little Knight, I need to kind of protect it. So we use the Seraph, we banish itself and Alistair. We go into the Bay Baron. I think I drew the Vicarum. I must have drawn the Vicarum. No, I didn't. Okay, so we search out the Vicarum. The field's a little bit more presented here. Most Dark Worlds build don't play many hand interactions, so I'm not really worried about that. I do get to use the Vicarum to special summon itself, because I've got Alistair on the field. I get to set the Invocation Sword, and then no SP Little Knight's being used here. So we do go into the Alistair Invoker of Madness, because obviously Alistair is a Dark Spellcaster, and the Vicarum, I believe, is a Light Fairy, off the top of my head. So we do get and go into that Alistair. We then use the effect of the SP Little Knight. I get to use the Invocation. I still get into Purgatorio, which is what I was trying to build up to. I'm still playing this very, very old school Invoked, like Purgatorio and Macabre, which just isn't the way the deck naturally wants to play now. But then I was like, I need to make my card stronger than the Rainbow. So during damage step, drop an Alistair, make Purgatorio stronger than the Rainbow, attack the Genta, And then we're just doing the maths here. So it'd be Macabre in for 25, Bay Baron in for 245, but then I do have an Alistair as well if I needed to get the final bit of damage. So that scoops out, goes into game number 2. Now this is a much better opening for Dark Worlds because Dark Worlds get to go into Genta go into Gate. My hand's not perfect, and what you don't want to be opening up against Dark Worlds is no hand interactions. And opening up Genta into Gate into Snow is pretty darn good because Snow's now going to search out a Dark World card. That can start to slowly snowball. So we get Rainbow, Genta comes back to the hand. The only downside is you need to get the Rainbow to the graveyard. We activate the second gates. Opening up that gates again, really annoying. But you banish Snow, discard the Rainbow. Rainbow searches out the Greffer this time, return the Genta back to the hand. And again, this is the issue with opening up that gates, is like you would have loved to have used gates to banish, or like use Genta again and go from there. But regardless, we use Dark World Corridor, we get the Ceruli, drop the Ceruli, and then Ceruli's effect summons to my side of the field. Ceruli makes my opponent discard the Silver, which they already had, so they open up pretty well. Silver makes me put 2 cards back. I'm like, okay, cool. And then on resolution, I drop the Fua, which I can't do. I can't do because I've just realised I can't do because I control the Ceruli. I would have had to have dropped the Fua when the Ceruli activated in the graveyard. So, yeah, I was a little bit late on that one. So that's on me. Yeah. Okay, well, lesson learned on that one. I've just completely... You always forget about your opponent giving you a card and thinking, oh, Fua can still be activated. But we both missed that there. Anyway, so we go into the Hope Harbinger. I drop another Fua on my opponent. I mean, the Ceruli goes regardless. So maybe I get like 1 or 2 draws still, naturally. And then that's just me showing that I drew Droll for turn, which is classic against Dark World. So, Terraforming into Magical Meltdown, trying to activate Magical Meltdown, seeing if it resolves over the Hope Harbinger, which it doesn't. Hope Harbinger absorbs that, which was the bait for the Pot of Sloth. Pot of Sloth's not perfect, but Pot of Sloth is going to let me draw 3 cards, and then I put 2 back. So not so bad, depending on what I get access to. The only interaction I need to worry about is the SP Little Knight on the field right now, so there's nothing too crazy. It's more so when does that SP Little Knight get activated. So there's the 2 cards going back to the bottom. Normal summon Alistair. Alistair effect resolves, get an invocation. This is the one thing with Dark Worlds though, is that if you don't set up pretty much the impenetrable field, your opponents get like... You're going to be able to play through Dark World quite well. Now, in a later duel, the Dark World player does actually take the Fua challenge against some of the other opponents and just goes absolutely crazy. So we're going to utilise the Vicarum here because there is an Alistair in the graveyard. SP does the exact same thing to get rid of the Almirage, which is still quite annoying because that's like one of the attributes I kind of wanted. I still get to set the Invocation Sword. I could have set normal Invocation, but I've already got that access to it. So we're going to activate the Invocation. Just checking what my opponent has in the graveyard. Mainly there's some Darks, so banishing Fua here and banishing Alistair. Gets me Seraph. Seraph, I'm just looking at my opponent's graveyard. I bring back the Danger Snake or the Danger Sukanoko. Use Invocation to get Alistair back to the hand. And now it's like, well, now what? I do have the 2 different types and the 2 different attributes. So with that, I can make the Alistair Link 2 again. Utilising the Seraph, which is a light Pyro, I believe. And then using the Sukanoko. Utilising Invocation, just checking my opponent's graveyard in case there is any attribute in there that I can utilise. None that I could really see worth it. We go into the Raijin, banishing the second Fua and the Alistair. I just felt that sometimes with the Fua, with the Raijin, I was like, well, if I book my opponent's Dark World as soon as they get it to the field, that can make it quite awkward for them to try and do like the Rainbow and the Greffer loop. So I thought the Raijin, actually summoning the Raijin in this kind of scenario was kind of effective. So hence why I decided to go for it. Now I just decided to go for the second Invocation, because remember, Invocation's fuse is not once per turn. But being able to get into the Agedes here is going to destroy the Hope Harbinger. Trying to see if I can get another fusion to the graveyard. Like I said, I'm still playing this very old school Invoked. I should be really getting my head like I know some of the new cards and how they work and what they play, but I don't respect them the way that they need to be respected, if that makes sense. I do it better in my duel number 2, because in my duel number 2, the hyper invoked Aeon puts in so much work, it's crazy. So, and now it's really kind of coming down to I use Proxy F, which I do with the Alistar, which is, I think I can only do the Mastic up to like 76 or something, not as game ending. And I feel that I was just so focused on what that gate could then unlock for my opponent that I kind of made a bit of a, I wouldn't say a mistake, but not enough damage as I could have done. So we're going to the TCG exclusive, the Missile, and then this one's going to give me the ability to fuse during my opponent's main phase using the graveyard. So I've got a monster that treats itself as Alistar the Invoker, which is quite nice, and it's just utilising different attributes here. Yeah, I think we've also just remembering the SP and the Almirage. Nothing's yeah, I don't think anything's changed here. I think that was done the last turn anyway, so nothing's been missed, thankfully. Just going to carry on. So here comes the gate, Lucian, and then Duel. The downside of, you know, revealing it when you draw it for turn. But we've got Genta, we've got Lucian coming back. Agede's here, destroys the Lucian. I mean, that would stop Rainbow and Grepher coming into rotation, so that's a rank 8. And if my opponent's on the Dragula Bond rank 8, that can actually be quite powerful. But then I suppose I probably could have waited for the 8s, just dealt with the 8s directly. So, carrying on here, just seeing what else we're going to present. So just fusing both those together. So that's the Agedes, the Missile, going into Invoked Elysium, because a monster special from the extra deck and an Invoked monster. So obviously it's treated as all the attributes while it's on the field as well. So, yeah. I was kind of like, well, there's loads of darks on the field here. And I'm like, well, I thought I had a dark in the grave. I didn't. So, yeah, that kind of missed. I didn't want to tribute off my own Elysium. So. Oh, yeah, my opponent's just like, we've just rewound it a little bit because they wanted to chain to the Missile's kind of effect. Banishing the Missile as well, which is, again, that stops the Elysium coming out here because it has to use itself as fusion material, so it just kind of like fizzles. We do have the Invocation Swords, but again, if I want to get to Elysium, I've got to use an Invoked monster, which is fine because I can use an Invoked monster that's banished now, and the Agedes, and go into the Elysium, which is the monster special from the extra deck. So remember, the monsters in the graveyard they're not counted as monsters special from the extra deck. So let me use the Elysium, tribute itself because it's the only dark that I have. Get rid of my opponent's monsters. I'm like, right, well, you've used your gate. I'm hoping you don't have anything. And I'm like, oh, damn, they've got a Chupacabra. So I don't know why I shotgunned it so early. I thought that I was just going to be like, cool, done, lock it off there. But this is where the Dark Woods are now going to kind of re-snowball because hit the Silver, which is like the best one I could have hit for them. So Silver summons, Chupacabra summons, and then it's all about being able to, you know, get your resource back. So Rainbow, Genta back to the hand for Rainbow, Rainbow back to the hand for Grepher, and then it's, is there any more draw power in the hand of the Dark Worlds to kind of help them push that little bit further forward? If not, happy days. I just need to survive a turn. If so, ouch. So, not sure. Oh, we were just confirming that because you don't draw under Chupacabra. You can still reveal your dangers because they're under draw. So you can still reveal the dangers. And I said, well, the idea is with your dangers, you still want to reveal because the benefit of that is what they're trying to do is they want to try and hit Silver. They want me to hit Silver because if I hit Silver, Silver summons Rainbow. They can then get Rainbow back. So then they get a little bit more field presence. So unfortunately, Rainbow won't search. And I was just saying to him, I say, look, if you want to keep revealing them, you can. the only benefit is, or what you're trying to do here, is you're just getting more field presence. You want me to hit something very specific. You don't draw, the danger stays in the hand. And the reason you're allowed to keep revealing your dangers is that the outcome is not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed you draw. It doesn't summon because it's summon and mandatory draw. So we hit the Chupacabra. There's no... I think there is a danger to come back from the Chupacabra, which is Nessie. Still, obviously not what they wanted me to hit. Surprised we're not trying to go for... Maybe they don't play the Muckraker. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. Let's try and think where else we could kind of go here. We've already gone through the SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight's still going to come back, which isn't bad. So we're going to Typhon. There's no point in really using Typhon's effect. You don't want to return the Almirage, but the other thing that makes Typhon quite awkward is that its effects negated because it's above 3,000, but or it's like bounce effect is, but it's still at 3,200, which is again a little bit annoying because any monster that's 3k or more, their effects are negated. So I need to get a monster that can use its effect that outs gates, so that Typhon becomes weaker, or I need to get a monster that is stronger than Typhon to get rid of Typhon. So we activate, I believe it's Invocation Sword, wasn't it? Was it Sword? It was Invocation. Basically, we're trying to activate to get into to get into a fusion monster here. Like Hyper Invoked Aeon doesn't really do a lot for me. It is the stronger one of all of them, but it's not strong enough to deal with the Typhon unless I drop a Alistair on it. So I was like, right, okay, cool. We'll go for Macabre instead, because at least I then have the Omni Negate, or the negate still live. Normal summon Alistair, go Burr, grab an Invocation. And it's just trying to navigate around Typhon. Like most of these cards, yes, they are like relatively easy to get around once you stop to think about them, but yeah. You're not expecting to face them directly. So, yeah, just going to carry on here. We go into the Oceanus, put it into the extra monster zone. We do remember that the SP Little Knight comes back. That was on us this time. And then, I mean, I can still get rid of the SP Little Knight so that we don't worry about it too much. I don't think whatever SP does, I should be able to answer it with Macabre. So we're just going to get the Invocation Sword's Grave effect to get me Invocation back. And then it was like, oh, I forgot that your life points were already down. So I was like, oh, how many life points are you on? He was like, oh, not a lot. And I was like, okay, I'll just use Oceanus. I was so worried about the Typhon. I was like, I'll just attack the SP Little Knight and game there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Do like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.